Good morning, everyone. Thank y'all for joining us out here today. I know it's starting to get a little warm, so we won't keep you too long. But we're very excited that y'all are as interested in this project as we are. It's been a long time coming, for several years before my time with the county. But I'm just really thankful to be part of this as we move forward. So where you are standing right now will, in hopefully about 3 months' time, pending construction, be a asphalt pull-off for a safe access point for photographs, taking a break along Highway 11. We'll have a few benches, and these trees will be trimmed a little bit so you'll have a great view of Table Rock. So want to thank, first of all, the property owner, Mr. Hoyt Grant, who is here. This would not be possible without him at all. Yes, please give him, very deserving. We appreciate this. Our friends at Upstate Forever, this would also not be possible without them. They've worked with us and we've created a great partnership to make this possible. Pickens County Council, unfortunately none of them could be here. We scheduled it without alerting them ahead of time. But they're excited about this. Our Pickens County delegation, without them we would not have gotten the PARD grant funds to pay for this. And our Pickens County CTC, which again, we would not have the funds to pay for this without them. So we appreciate those efforts. And then SCPRT for awarding us this PARD grant. So I'm going to turn it over to Ken Roper for a few words.
Thank you all for being here. I really appreciate this good turnout. This is probably actually Hoyt Grant's worst nightmare, in the sense that this many people standing here in this spot. For years he worried about people's safety up here, and I had a chance to talk to him a couple of times, and I'll tell you, just as a side note, the reason this is particularly rewarding for me is that Hoyt and I are related. Hoyt's father and my grandmother were brother and sister, which we think, and he and I agreed on this, so we're not going to question it, makes us first cousins once removed. I think that's right. But so it's nice, and I know when I talked to my mother about it, she was very happy to know that this was happening. But this is something that you say things have been a long time in the making. This has been a long time in the making, and then on the shelf, and then abandoned, and then picked back up, and then Mr. Grant every step of the way, even though it was I'm literally 10 years they've been talking to you about this, Mr. Grant. It's finally come to fruition, and it couldn't come to fruition without a lot of people pulling the same way. I see, Mr. Green over there with the CTC committee that did some good work to get us the funding, a huge share of the funding. I see Rodney Robinson, Pickens County engineer over there, who sometimes I would bring it up to him and he'd just shake his head. It's like, this project has been going on that long. I see Cheryl Hayes, which I want to talk about in a minute. Mr. Grant, obviously, Upstate Forever. Mr. Chastain, who I'm going to give an opportunity to talk Upstate Forever, I'm going to give a chance to talk. But it's just been something. The thrift guys that are here today, including at least one thrift. There's one thrift here. They said they're starting Monday. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Starting Monday. So the long wait will be over. And then Hoyt will start calling me about the dust, the problems with the dust. I'm joking about that. This is really such a great day. I will tell you that a lot of the thanks goes to Pickens County Council, and I'll tell you why. A little over a year ago, they commissioned a study to be done by the South Carolina National Heritage Corridor. And that study talked about marketing, and you'll see some of the marketing materials here, but it also talked about the things that were unique about Pickens County. And County Council took those recommendations to heart and have started implementing them in a very aggressive manner. One of the recommendations is that Pickens County needed to emphasize its unique nature and take advantage of Highway 11, to preserve Highway 11 where we could, but to emphasize its unique nature as well. And two ways that County Council's already started doing that, there's actually three now that I'm standing here thinking about it. One is this right here, giving a safe place for people to take the picture. The most photographed natural feature in the state of South Carolina is hidden just behind these trees, but not for long. So that was the first recommendation that County Council took on and agreed to cooperate on. The other is we're pending third reading on an ordinance that would allow us to lease the Long Shoals Roadside Park on the other end of Highway 11 so that Pickens County can take over the day-to-day operation of that facility and make it something we can be proud of. That was another recommendation, which County Council's passed 2 readings, and the 3rd reading is set for July. And then the third thing that's happened is Pickens County has commissioned a study from the Appalachian Council of Governments about things that we can do to protect Highway 11 long term. Not trying to get into anybody's private property rights, but talking about if you want to build whatever you want to build on Highway 11, we want to encourage you and help you where we can, where it's allowed and where it's practical. But we want it to look like Highway 11. We want our children and our grandchildren and our great-grandchildren to recognize the unique nature of Highway 11. So I'm excited about that. It's very rewarding for me as the county administrator to have a county council that supports this kind of vision, that supports this kind of endeavor. And I really see great things for us in the next few years with this county council and how engaged they are. That being said, and with appreciation to Mr. Grant, I want to talk about one more person who's not with us, and that's Mike Hayes. Mike Hayes, who is also related to Mr. Grant. I think he's also a first cousin once removed to you, Mr. Grant. Is that right? I think so. Yeah, Mike's related to you the same side of the family, a different side of the same family that I am. I'm looking at another couple people back there related. This is Pickens County, after all, right? Let's start over here and talk how we're related. Mike, how are you? No, I'm joking about that. But that being said, this was a project that Mike Hayes kept alive when it had no life whatsoever. It would completely die, but Mike kept a folder. And he would come up and talk to Mr. Grant and update him on the progress of it. And Mike's heart was in this because he had Grant blood in him. And he had Pickens County blood in him. And Mike Hayes loved the outdoors. And he loved what was unique about us. He was a consummate outdoorsman. He was a hunter, he was a fisherman, he was a hiker. He was somebody that, worked for the sheriff's office for many years. And he was also my cousin and my co-worker. And so him keeping this project alive, I want to let you know that we have talked about the proper way to commemorate Mike, and we're delighted to have Cheryl here with us today. To tell you, we talk and think in the administrative office about Mike Hayes almost every day. Sometimes on afternoons when it gets slow, I put on Scottish bagpipe music, and people get mad at me. It just in his memory. But on this location, once we're up and done, we're going to get a park bench or two, and we're going to have them concrete or iron, something that'll last for a long time, dedicated to Mike Hayes. Because I know what Mike Hayes would have wanted to do. He would want to sit on that park bench and look at this view and feel that sense of accomplishment. So I can't wait to sit on it and remember him. So Cheryl, thank you for being here. To give you a little more context on what this means and how long this is coming, I'm going to ask the folks from Upstate Forever to come up, and then we'll finish with Mr. Chastain giving us a historical context. So if you can come on up, sir.
No one told me I'd have to come up here and give some remarks today, so I'm totally unprepared for this, so bear with me. As Mr. Roper said, absolutely, this wouldn't happen without patience, persistence, and partnerships. Those are the 3 ingredients that make something like this a true success. So this is an exciting day, and I'm super happy to be here. Wouldn't want to be anywhere else today right now. Got to thank everybody for being here and this opportunity. But thanks most of all to the Grant family. This isn't possible without their involvement in this, and Mr. Grant's vision for this property, his gift to Pickens County and the Upstate. This is a true opportunity, an iconic gem in the conservation world right here. The partnerships involved, Pickens County. Couldn't do this without you guys. Having this overlap here is extremely important. If you can't hear me, it's because there's a truck going by, and that's just not safe for people that want to stop and look at this, and it happens all the time. So this overlook will keep people in the Upstate safe and allow them this opportunity to stop and enjoy the view and this iconic landmark here. And of course, other partnerships. I don't know if anybody's here from the State Conservation Bank, but having these the state bank is crucial for making projects like this come to fruition and be a true success. So, there's multiple players at this table. And this project, like you said, this goes way back. I think it's before I started working at Upstate Forever, and I've been there a long time. So for this one to keep coming up and keep coming up, and I really appreciate the Grant family for giving us those calls constantly, making sure we're doing our part to make this happen, and the emails and everything else. So thank you so much. This is truly a joy to be here, and a gift to the Upstate.
Well, I had the opportunity to make news, and I don't think anybody knows about this, that me and Ken Roper and my wife and the Pickens County Historical Society Board, but we're going to be putting a historical marker here for Table Rock at the pull-off. And those of you who attended the unveiling of the historical marker for Saconee Town just outside of Pickens last week, you already understand that, number one, historical markers add a lot of prestige to a site. For the traveling public to come through here and to be able to get a glimpse of the rich Cherokee history and the state park and all this, it encourages them to stick around for a while and maybe explore all the other things we have, like Haygood Mill, things like that. So from tourism perspective, from a safety perspective, this is a wonderful, wonderful thing. So we haven't talked about where it'll exactly be located, but I suspect somewhere right out here. We certainly don't want to obscure that beautiful view once it's opened up there. And I'm just going to run through very quickly, because my wife Jane and I live on Highway 11, just how it's hard for me to express how important this project is, because I have been working literally for 25 years, along with a lot of other folks, to try to help preserve the scenic integrity along Highway 11. And you just can't do it for the entire 110-mile length all the way from Gaffney to where Highway 11 meets the I-85. As a matter of fact, if you are aware that those two ends that I talked about have probably already lost their scenic integrity. Here's the problem. South Carolina, Highway 11, the Cherokee Foothill Scenic Highway, is both a state-designated scenic highway and a federally designated scenic byway. And those get reviewed from time to time. And here's the problem. If you have a scenic highway, federally and state designated, and you lose your scenic vistas, you no longer have a scenic highway. So we are constantly at risk of losing that scenic highway status, and having this pull-off and having folks develop an appreciation for these scenic vistas is just invaluable. Not to mention, I mentioned public safety. Jane and I can tell you, we have actually seen it. There are folks who are not from this area. They look at Highway 11 on the map and they see it's a way to avoid the congestion on Greenville and I-85. They come through here, and it's pretty scenery, from here to Walhalla. And they say, well, this is kind of nice. Certainly better than driving down Highway 11. And they get right there, and they see Table Rock and Grant Meadows and Hoyt's Log Home up there and everything, and they literally slam on the brakes. I've seen black marks in the middle of the road where people will literally slam on the brakes, get out, and take photos. So just from a public safety standpoint, this is a great thing. I'm just going to give you a few quick points of what I expect to cover. I'll be writing the text for the historical marker. I was telling just a few minutes ago, some of the folks who live in this immediate area, not a folks realize it, but right in front of Hoyt's house, and right up here on Back Park Road, you can see it, is an ancient Cherokee path. In other words, prehistoric, and it went all the way to Virginia. You can see a section of it. If you go down Back Park Road, you get to a point where you look through the trees and you can see White Oak Shelter at Table Rock. I'm sure everybody looks at it and says, oh, that's just a washed out ravine. No, it has a flat bottom, and that's actually the Cherokee path. If you turn left up here on Back Park and then right like you're going to the recycling center, immediately look to your left and you can see an arc of it there. So there's the Cherokee heritage, and then of course in the 1930s, the Table Rock State Park was one of the first CCC state parks built in South Carolina. And all the old buildings, everything, believe it or not, all the rock for those buildings, like the lodge and the dam and everything, came from right behind our house. The quarry site was on my family's old home place, just right down here. And so there's that also. So anyway, we could not be more excited about this project. It has been a long time coming, as several people tell you. Rodney will tell you we've been working on this for close to 20 years now, and it's going to happen. And Ken, I